I'm Stefan Baumann. I would like to invite you on a special journey. A journey of exploration. To discover the splendor. To feel the excitement. And to experience the wonders of painting outdoors. In one of America's most stunning locations, I invite you to come to the Grandview Ranch and see for yourself what a weekend can do to transform your art. Everything you need to know is on our website, www.stefanbaumann.com. My name is Stefan Baumann, and welcome to the Grandview. Just south of Oregon on the California border lies Lava Beds National Monument. This place offers sweeping views of Shasta and over 400 lava tubes to explore. It's also where the Modoc tribe and white settlers had one of their fiercest battles. So come along with us as we explore this fascinating and wonderful place called Lava Beds National Monument. Lava Beds National Monument is a park that needs to be experienced by foot. So you need to step out of your car, put on a good pair of hiking boots, and walk around. And what I found exceptionally beautiful about this park are some of the trees, and especially early in the morning like this morning. It's a fabulous morning for painting. There's not a breeze in the air, there's not a cloud in the sky. And so without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to squeeze out my ultramarine blue, my alizarin crimson, and my cad yellow. And we're going to start sketching, and I'm going to concentrate on the tree itself first. I'm going to start off with the trunk. And I want to get a feeling for this tree even before I start the rest of my sketch. I want to be sure that I place it properly in my canvas. It's a little less than a third in. Now I'm going to pay very close attention to the little sky holes that are peeking through. A lot of times these trees are fascinating by the trunks, but this cypress-like foliage that grows on the top of the tree just captivated me when I saw it. One of the fascinating things about this place is the rocks. There's incredible rock sculptures here, and as you wander around them, you get the sense of just this magnificent force of these volcanoes and this lava that have flown through this area, and we're actually standing on top of a lava bed here. Speaking of which, I'm going to put some of these lava shapes in. Now I'm going to concentrate on putting the shadows in on these rocks. And the color that's there I'm going to leave for the highlight. And one thing you'll notice that the light is changing constantly when you're working outdoors. So what I'm putting in is what I call footnotes. These are just little moments in time that I see at this very moment. There's actually a canyon of shadow, and I like that right now. I like the feeling of the light hitting this area of rocks. And I'm just going to put a thin layer of this brown color I mixed up. What I'm doing here is I'm pushing back and forth until I get the mountain feeling like where I want it. Now this mountain also is not the main focal point, and I'm going to try not to put a lot of detail into it. Just turpentine in my 3 colors. I'm going to put in my shadows on my tree. I'm going to leave my sketch actually as part of my painting. There's this wonderful knot, this branch coming out. It's all twisted and knotted. Now with my sketch done, I'm ready to start painting. And around my branches, those little tiny holes. And I'm going to switch to a smaller brush just so that I can get around my detail. I spend too much time on my sketch not to use it for my painting. Now towards the top of my painting, I want to introduce a lot more blue. And actually make it quite dark. I want to darken the corners. By darkening the corner of my painting, it will help bring the viewer to the center of my painting. It's all about light, and we want to direct the viewer's light, or the viewer's eye, to the center of my painting. We're going to do that with light. And in order to do that, we have to have contrast, so I'm going to darken the edges of my canvas. Okay, now with our sky done, we're just about ready to start working on our mountain. I'm going to add yellow and blue and just drag it in the direction of your mountain. Use lots of paint. The birds in the distance always kind of put a smile on my face. I love listening to the wildlife when I'm working outdoors. I want to try to capture what I saw this morning. It's a little bit later, the light's a little bit flatter. And what I remember this morning is that there was a lot more brown in my mountain, and the light was strong, really bright in here. And I darken it just by adding a little bit of blue and some vertical strokes, because the rocks on the mountain are vertical, so they'll go down straight up and down. Now the little trees that are sitting on the mountain are the same intensity of color, but they're darker, which means that the value is the same as the mountain itself. They're lighter than the trees in the foreground. So I'm going to introduce a lot more blue to this color, and yellow, and a little bit of red. Now load up the brush pretty heavily. Just use the corner of the brush and you can see, just kind of dab it. Now with our background trees done, we're ready to start working on our midground trees. Now these trees are very soft and I don't want a lot of detail. The idea is to keep the viewer focused on the foreground. So this area will lay in very softly, again with our mixture of green. Just take this soft color and just hit the canvas with the same brush. You notice we're not using a lot of brushes. This is a cool green. Now these rocks are real dark, and the sagebrush just lights up around them. That bright light. Just with a flick of the brush. Same brush we've been using. I love painting sagebrush. I love the color and I love the texture that it has. Okay, now with all of these trees in the middle ground, we're going to put a few of these little rocks in the middle ground also. These rocks are predominantly a brown color and they're reddish brown, almost a purple or a plum color. And since they're in the distance, we want to put just little short strokes back and forth. So what we want to do is get all the shadows in first. This is a lot of ultramarine blue with my yellow and red. I want this whole corner to be shadowed. And part of the issue that I'm dealing with right now is not to make the rocks too detailed. We have to keep in mind that the main focal point of this painting is the tree. Now the viewers are going to be more interested in the lights as opposed to the shadow. So spend some time worrying about your highlights. Okay, now with the rock stem, we're going to start focusing on the sagebrush. We're going to switch to a fan brush, and we're going to mix that same light color that we used in the distance, except a little bit more white. So dab the brush straight onto the canvas and flick upwards to give the feeling of the sagebrush. And this will help also cut apart the rocks a little bit. To the left here, there's some more sagebrush. Get this wonderful bright bluish light. It's the same color I was using with a little bit more white in it. And see how that just brightens up the whole painting? Just changes the whole feeling of all these rocks. All of a sudden this area doesn't look so desolate. Now since we're working with this fan brush, we're just going to take a darker variation of this color using the fan brush. Just going to use a corner and just very carefully recreate the tree. I'm also blurring some of these strokes as I put them on, just dragging them to the left and to the right or down. I'm going to actually put a little bit of foliage out away from the branch itself and then put little tiny branches to it. And now use the same stroke over on the right hand tree. We want to get all the darks in. Again, leave a lot of the sky holes. Blend a little bit on the edges. Try to pick up the main characteristic of the tree. Remember, we made this tree a little bit smaller. And now with our darks in, it's time to do our highlights. And I'm going to mix blue and yellow together to create a nice bright green. And I'm going to mix them together with my fan brush. And using the same stroke, I'm going to apply the highlights on. I'm just going to dance a little highlight on top of these darks. And right in here, I'm going to make it just a little bit brighter, even brighter than on the top of my tree. Again, we want to make this the main focal area. Now we bring the same color and bring the bright on this tree. Again, don't do too much. Only about 50%. If you want your tree to look very amateurish, paint the whole thing in bright light. Okay, now with our highlights done on our tree, we're ready to start putting in some of the branches. And I have to say, this is one of my favorite parts of every painting I do. I'm a detailist. I love seeing the little details. And working with a small little brush and just exploring these little branches and how they attach themselves to the foliage really makes me excited. And we'll go right over the orange paint. These trees have a little bit of orange in them, but not a lot, so we're going to actually repaint the trunks. And now I'm going to take that same dark color, bring it right down my trunk. This is all the detail. This is the part I love so much. Just take your time. This is our main focal point, so we want to spend some time making sure that the detail's absolutely wonderful. And we can also make a few minor corrections by adding some more sky holes. Using the same brush very carefully. And now we'll do the tree on the right hand side. Just bring the trunk through. Not a lot of the trunk is showing. And I want to put a little bit of the details on top of the sagebrush. And now with all the little details done, we're ready to sign the painting.
If you'd like to take your painting to the next level, please feel free to contact me at 415-606-9074.
Join us on our website, thegrandview.org, and get more information about our show. There you can download our free book, Everything You Need to Know About Outdoor Painting, along with a free diagram of today's subject.